Aunt Roach and Tank have been involved in a big controversy since the final bell rang. From Tank taking a knee to getting outclassed by Roach, the fight has raised a lot of questions. Now even lawyers are involved. Lamont Roach is sure that he was robbed, and it looks like he won't stop until he humbles Tank. Let's get you up to speed.
That was saying that this is a really tough fight. Like, Lamont Roach is a serious fighter. I said it might not be the biggest profile fight, but it's actually quite a tough fight. And Shakur said to me, like, even the day before, I'm telling you, he's going to have big trouble tomorrow night. And I just feel like hopefully this could be the little something that gives Gervonta a little wake-up call to take him back to the mindset of...
Roach gave a performance that made fans and analysts question everything they thought they knew about Tank Davis. The power, the speed, the dominance. None of it was there like it had been before. Instead, it was Roach who controlled the pace, landed cleaner shots, and made the once undefeated champion look vulnerable. From the very first rounds, it was clear Roach wasn't just there to survive, he came to take over. And as the fight went on, he only got stronger. But what really stood out wasn't just Roach's performance. It was something Tank said during the fight that surprised everyone.
After everything, walking back to the locker room with you and your team, tell me how that moment was.
I was pissed. I found myself getting like a little upset, but I shook it off. I got a lot of great people in my corner telling me that I don't need to have my head down, that I perform well. You know, they just uplifted me because I ain't gonna...
Roach revealed that during the fight, they were talking to each other, and something Tank said in the later rounds really stayed with him. It felt like Davis already knew what the result would be, no matter what happened in the ring. "We were talking in the 12th round, I think it was the 12th or 11th, Roach said, and he was like, 'You ain't going to win.' I said, 'Why not? What are you talking about?' He said, 'They ain't going to give it to you.' I was like, 'Oh, is that right?' Roach said that's just how boxing works sometimes, sadly. That moment made Roach question everything. Did Tank already know something? Was the result already decided before the final bell? Because when the judges announced a draw, it was exactly what Tank had predicted.
When we was talking in like the 12th round, I think the 12th or 11th, we was talking right? But he like, "You ain't gonna win." I said, "Why not? What you talking about?" He like, "They ain't gonna give it to you." I said, "Oh, is that right?" So, you know, that's how boxing...
Roach wasn't the only one who felt something was wrong. Many fans watching. The Fight Live quickly went on social media to share their shock. Most people had Roach winning. Some thought it was close. But even those who gave Tank the benefit of the doubt still agreed that Roach had done enough to win. But when the scorecards were read, it was 114-114, and Roach's hand wasn't raised. "I'm not totally upset," Roach said. "I figured with a superstar, you're not going to get much on paper. But I really thought I had it, especially when they announced that score for him. I was like, oh, they're going to give me a split decision. I thought, yeah, here it comes. But then I heard 114-114, and I was just like, damn."
Man, he got lucky at the draw. He did a good fight, though. I thought he won it, but man, he gotta just create more action. That's a sparring session as far as I'm concerned. Oh my God. But God damn, that's not the Gervonta I know.
But now, things are getting even more serious. Roach and his team are fighting back, this time through legal action. They've officially filed a complaint with the New York State Athletic Commission, challenging the decision and demanding justice. Roach made it clear he's not backing down. "That was my night. I did what I do best. And I deserve what's mine," he said. His legal team is pushing hard and has made some shocking claims in their complaint. According to reports, Roach's lawyers have brought forward several allegations that could possibly change the outcome of the fight.
I don't want to say that's the blueprint. I just think that, you know, that my plan unfolded.
Roach's legal team has built their case around 3 key points, each one strong enough to possibly change the final result of the fight. The first major claim is about the 9th round knockdown that wasn't counted. Roach's team says the referee's failure to recognize that knockdown directly affected the judges' scorecards and cost Roach a well-deserved win. They believed that if the knockdown had been counted, Roach would have clearly won. This claim is backed by boxing analysts and fans who reviewed the footage and agreed that Davis should have been given a mandatory count. The second claim is even more serious. Roach's lawyers are calling for Davis to be disqualified for allegedly using hair gel during the fight. They say this gel, which Davis blamed for his vision problems in round 9, is considered an illegal irritant, and using any foreign substance that can affect performance should lead to disqualification. Because of these issues, Roach's team has submitted 3 possible outcomes for the commission to consider. First, a TKO win for Roach because Davis took a knee and removed himself from the fight. Second, a TKO win by disqualification due to the illegal gel. And third, fixing the scorecards to include the missed knockdown, which would result in a win by decision for Roach.
Checking for a big withdrawal around maybe 30 minutes after this fight. No shot. Somebody put the house on draw and just got a like 22x like that. A draw? The mathematical anomaly to have a draw with 3 different refs across what, 11 rounds? It's a mathematical anomaly.
Fans are divided. Some are supporting Roach while others are standing by Tank. But now, this is more than just a fight result. It's turned into a full legal battle, and the New York State Athletic Commission is under pressure to respond. If Roach's team wins their appeal, this could become one of the most shocking fight overturns in boxing history. Tank, on the other hand, has mostly stayed quiet, but the tension is growing. If the decision is reversed, it could damage his record for good. For a fighter who built his name on being undefeated and untouchable, a loss, especially like this, would be devastating. Meanwhile, fans are already asking for a rematch. The first fight had everything: intensity, controversy, and high-level boxing. And now, with all this drama outside the ring, a second fight would be even bigger. It's no longer just about settling the score. It's about proving who the better fighter really is. Roach knows what he did that night. He knows he fought the fight of his life and believes he won. Now, with the world watching, he's determined to make sure the record tells the truth, whether it happens in court or back in the ring. One thing is clear: this story is far from over.
Punching output can be raised and things like that. Can be better than 32 punches? That's ridiculous. I think so.
So, all right, so throw 40, maybe you get him out of there quicker and you can go home.
At the center of all this is WBA President Gilberto Mendoza, who has openly admitted that the controversy surrounding this fight is too big to ignore. Mendoza has hinted that an immediate rematch might be the only way to clear things up, and talks are already happening behind the scenes to decide what the next step should be. Davis has said he doesn't want to fight Roach again right away, but if the WBA pushes forward, he might not have a choice. If Davis refuses the rematch, the WBA has the power to take away his title, which would seriously hurt his legacy. The WBA wants to send a message. Questionable judging and controversial situations won't be ignored. Forcing a rematch would show that even the biggest stars in boxing must follow the rules. Behind closed doors, the discussion isn't just about a rematch, it's also about the damage this fight may have done to boxing's reputation. Fans are upset, and the backlash hasn't gone away. Many believe Roach was robbed, and if nothing is done, it could hurt the WBA's image. That's why Mendoza and other officials are carefully thinking through all their options before making a final decision. Another big issue is how this affects Davis's future. He's been linked to possible unification fights with Shakur Stevenson and Keyshawn Davis, but if the WBA orders a rematch with Roach, those plans will have to wait. Both Stevenson and Keyshawn have shown interest in fighting Tank, and there were talks that one of those matchups could happen next. But with this controversy hanging over him, the WBA might not let Davis move forward until the rematch.
I'll be honest, Lamont was very good in that pocket. Yeah, he got hit with some clean shots, but so did Tank. Tank was backed up by Lamont Roach at multiple points in that fight. Lamont landed clean shots on Tank, was able to time Tank. Tank's usually the one timing.
There, see. Also the issue of Davis's reputation. He has built his career on being dominant, knocking out most of his opponents and rarely showing weakness. But the fight with Roach was different. Davis struggled in ways fans hadn't seen before, and his decision to take a knee raised serious questions. Some people are now wondering if Davis is still at his best, while others are accusing him of trying to escape when things got tough. If Davis wants to clear his name and prove he's still the fighter people feared, taking the rematch might actually be in his best interest.
Stevenson said that if you can't get the rematch, he has a championship fight waiting for you. What do you think about that?
That's why I love him. Genuinely speaking, man, that's what I want to do. I want to fight the best fights. You know, like I said, hopefully we can get the rematch. If not, more than likely we can get in there with Shakur because, you know, we already talked.
Meanwhile, Roach and his team are keeping the pressure on. They aren't just waiting for the WBA to act. They're making sure this situation stays in the public eye. With their legal complaint already filed and the NYSAC being forced to review the matter, Roach's side is doing everything they can to push for the fight to be overturned or for an official rematch to be ordered. Roach is firm that he won the fight, and he wants either his victory recognized or the chance to prove it again in the ring. Ryan Garcia's comments have added even more fuel to an already heated situation. His frustration with boxing's governing bodies isn't just about GervontaDavis. It's also about what he believes is unfair treatment toward him. Garcia isn't just calling out the WBA and the New York State Athletic Commission for how they handled the Davis versus Roach fight. He's also making it clear that he feels personally targeted by boxing officials.
When you're 1 foot out, you're going to get in the ring and you're going to have that moment where you know you got to step it up and it just won't come. I think that's what happened.
His biggest argument is the inconsistency in how controversies are handled. He pointed out how his own victory over Devin Haney was overturned because of a failed drug test, which he still claims was a setup. But in his eyes, when it comes to Davis, there's hesitation to take action, even though Roach arguably did enough to win. Garcia sees a double standard and isn't afraid to speak out about it. It's not surprising that Garcia feels this way. Ever since his fight with Haney, he's been in conflict with boxing officials, constantly accusing them of being against him. The overturned result of that fight was a huge blow to his career, erasing what he considered one of his biggest achievements. Now, seeing Davis escape punishment despite the controversy surrounding his fight with Roach, Garcia believes it's proof that some fighters are protected while others get thrown under the bus. Garcia made it clear that he has no personal issue with Davis. He actually called him a great fighter and admitted that Davis...
You can't spin it no other way. It's too clear. And I think the commission needs to do something about it because it can give me an incentive, you know, anytime I'm not feeling good in a fight, take a knee.
Well, they said...
And that's not a shot at Tank. I respect Tank and I like Tank a lot. But you can't do that shit.
They reversed the result of your fight.
Yeah.
But that's not the real issue for Garcia. The real problem is that the commission has the power to change fight results. And Garcia feels like this only happens when it benefits certain fighters. He called out Devin Haney, suggesting that Haney often complains to get favorable decisions. He also questioned whether boxing regulators really care about fairness or if they just make changes based on pressure. This kind of talk isn't new for Garcia, but this time he's not just complaining. He's demanding action. He directly said that if his win over Haney was taken away, then Roach's victory should be given back to him. But he doesn't think that will happen. In his words, the boxing establishment was determined to hurt him from the start, while fighters like Davis get away with controversial results. Garcia didn't stop at calling out Davis's situation. He also criticized the referee in his fight with Haney. He said the official helped Haney survive by not penalizing him for excessive holding, and he was furious when he got a point deducted, without warning. For Garcia, it all adds up to one big conspiracy, where the rules are bent depending on who's in the ring.
See who it is. Hey, who is the dude? Who is the dude?
And that right there is...
Then there's the issue with Osterine. Garcia is still furious about the doping controversy, insisting that it was all a setup to discredit him. While some fans have dismissed his claims as excuses, others are starting to understand his point. The timing of the failed test, how it was handled, and now the situation with Davis. All of this has made Garcia believe that boxing's power structure is corrupt and working against him. Now, Garcia is channeling all that anger toward his upcoming fight with Rolando Romero. He made it clear in his posts that he's using all his frustration as motivation and that Romero will feel the impact of it. That fight was already expected to be intense, but with Garcia feeling like he's fighting against the entire boxing system, fans can expect him to bring even more energy and intensity.
What do you think about that fight that happened? You thought it was just an off night, or?
Everybody has an off night. Everybody has an off night. Yeah, I had a fucking off night with fucking crew. Everyone has a fucking off night. It's fucking boxing.
You want to run that back with Cruz or what?
Maybe down the line.
Hey, Rolly, who you got in the Canelo-Crawford fight?
For Garcia, this isn't just about one fight. It's about boxing's reputation. He believes Roach deserved to have his moment, but instead, the result ended in a majority draw, with Davis keeping his WBA lightweight title. According to Garcia, the referee's decision not to call the knee a knockdown completely changed the outcome of the fight. If Roach had been given a 10-8 round, he would have won on the scorecards. This, Garcia insists, is exactly the kind of inconsistency that frustrates both fans and fighters alike.
I had it close. I wouldn't argue with whichever way people want to steer it, whether Tank won, whether Lamont won, whether they had it a draw. You know, it was a solid fight, you know, despite the fucking taking the one knee.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I thought it was a